Hey Questers, welcome back to What Happened to Us with me, your host, Michaela Sanders. Thank you for joining me again as we explore the stories that sometimes leaves us with more questions than answers. Today's case starts in Port Antonio, Jamaica on September 23rd, 1989. Andreen Nicole Anderson was born to Maureen Smith and Paul Anderson as the second of three daughters. She grew up an hour and a half away from Portland and lived through humble beginnings and decided that she wanted to make a life for herself in America. Andreen's dream of coming to America came true at just 19 when she met Andy McDonald. He was also a native of Jamaica who at the time was a captain in the U.S. Air Force. Andre had returned home to Port Antonio, Jamaica in May 2009 to attend a funeral where he met Andreen, who was 10 years younger than him, and then they got married in July. Baby, talk about moving fast, because they met in May, got married in July. I ain't even know that was possible. There was an undeniable attraction from the beginning, and I don't know about y'all, 19 and 29 don't really sit right with my spirit, but that's also not the point of the story. She was excited when she met him. She was excited about Mr. Captain in the Air Force. They both decided for her to come back to America after they married. Everyone who knew her to be ambitious. At just 22, she had already moved to America and founded Starlight Homes, an assisted living facility business in San Antonio. It started as a tiny home-based venture with only 3 residents initially, but grew into a multi-million-dollar enterprise with 2 locations in the San Antonio area in only 7 years. Now, her ambition was unmatched. According to those close to her, Andre funded her dreams. He liquidated his 401k and sold his BMW to invest into her future. She was also very athletic and basically lived in the gym. She could lift up to 300 pounds, and this fit into her structured lifestyle as she hit the gym almost every single day and then the office immediately after, like clockwork. Like, she didn't miss one without at least giving a notice. So on the afternoon of Friday, March 1st, 2019, after 29-year-old Andreen McDonald was reported missing by her mother, Maureen, it kind of surprised everybody when she didn't show up to work. Andreen was not the type of person to just take off somewhere and no one knows where she's at. Her family called her phone at least 1,000 times, they said, crying and pleading with her, saying, Andreen, whatever it is, please just call us back. They thought she was mad at them or something. What concerned everybody the most was the fact that she would never just disappear. She was known for her sense of responsibility and her dedication to her family and her business. Behind the success, there was a woman that was devoted to her family, especially her young daughter, Elena. Andreen's dedication to her business and her child made her sudden disappearance in 2019 all the more puzzling. It shocked everybody. Shortly after the report, Bexar County Sheriff deputy arrived at the McDonald's home in an upscale gated community in San Antonio. Within minutes, the deputy saw blood here, blood there, hair on the light switch, and in the backyard, which is normally beautifully canvassed, big, cute, spacious, was another troubling clue. A random burn pal. Her purse was still there, her keys were still there on the counter, all vehicles were still there. Andreen's husband, Andy McDonald, told the deputy that when he woke up, he got their daughter Elena to school before he reported back to Lackland Air Force Base, where he served as a cyber warfare analyst. Once he learned Andreen was missing, Andre rushed back home, but he quickly headed back out the door to act on a hunch that Andreen, who suffered from migraines, might have gone to a nearby hospital for treatment. Andre's arrival to the hospital was captured by surveillance cameras and on tape. And he comes in, you can see him, he's asking the receptionist at the front desk for a McDonald. They tell him there's somebody in room 3 named McDonald, and then he just immediately like leaves. He leaves and he goes back to the house so he can tell the police, oh, she's at the hospital. But when the deputy called the hospital, he discovered that the McDonald who had been checked in was not Andreen McDonald. So Andre told the deputies that he rushed back home before seeing his wife because he had left his cell phone at home, and he wanted to let Maureen, her mother, know that he had found Andreen. And see, okay. And see, this is where he loses me at. And I started getting this eerie feeling, like it's like he's desperately trying to prove to everybody that she's okay so that everybody can just hush hush and go about their day, at least temporarily. So in my head, I'm thinking this would never work in a million years on detectives, let alone a black family. Like, we need confirmation. We need to see that our loved ones for ourselves. It's in us. My mama would have beat the doctor to the hospital room when she was told I was in the hospital randomly and nobody could get in contact with me. Yeah, no. As most moms and as most families would, though, like, they wouldn't even have to call my name good to leave the waiting room before my mama would have pulled up. And so personally, this pissed me off because I hate when people don't know how to lie good. And on top of that, on no planet is a husband leaving a hospital without actually seeing his missing wife and she's supposedly there. You ran past 1,000 phones running in and out that hospital that you could have used to call that lady mama. No, that man was just buying himself some time. I just know he was panicking that whole car ride. He a quick liar, I give him that, but he ain't a good one. He said the last time he had seen his wife was the night before, and he had told police that they both came home from the tax preparer's office and that they had argued over the business, and he went up the road, got some gas at Shell's, and just cooled off. He said that when he returned home, they went into separate bedrooms, and then that was it. Good night, no good night kiss, no none of that. And then remember he said he got baby girl dressed and then to school and then he went to work the next morning. So that was really just something else that threw me off, because how do you expect anybody in their right mind to believe that? Like, really? But just keep listening. Just keep listening, y'all. So investigators discovered blood on the couple's bedroom and a burnt area in the backyard, suggesting an attempt to destroy evidence. They also dug deeper into Andre and Andreen's relationship. Now I'm going to start calling him Andy because their names are too similar. That's kind of crazy. Their names are too similar. Learning that they had business problems as well as romantic ones. What he failed to mention about the night before Andreen's disappearance was the fact that the pair had exchanged words through text when he went to Shell's for gas. His messages showed allegations of infidelity accusations, talk of divorce, and rising tensions. She said, if you bring up Aubin again, I'm going to divorce you myself. And then he was like, I don't care if you get a divorce. You brought Aubin into our life. Y'all probably like, who Aubin? Now, Aubin was Andreen's little boo on the side. He was her first love, who she never really got over. They dated when she was a teenager and then rekindled their love during one of her trips back to Jamaica, which she frequented. Their affair was a secret until the summer of 2018 when Andreen got 2 new tattoos. Y'all. One was an initial A tattooed on her hand, and then the other one was a date that said 14-3-76, and this was tattooed on her wrist. Then just her husband or whatever, he started getting suspicious or whatever, and he went to go solve that mystery himself, honey, baby. He went to social media and he saw a picture of Aubin, her boo thing, with the same exact tattoo, which it wasn't really hard to figure out that this was Aubin's birthday. Lord, all these A names is really just sending me today. Really tying my tongue. She told all her friends that it was such a stupid thing to do, and Andy threatened to divorce her unless she cut off her little entanglement and covered up her tattoos and promised to never ever travel to Jamaica without him. Which she did. She covered up her tattoos. She didn't want to lose her man. She didn't want to lose half of everything that she worked hard for. But I'm not going to lie. She done went out her way to get a whole nother man's birthday tatted on her while laying next to her husband. I ain't even going to get up, sister. Sister, that was not a good thing to do, sister. I don't even know why she did that. It kills me. Y'all see my mug? It's so cute, isn't it? In WhatsApp messages shared with friends, there are arguments over who was really the brains behind their successful business. In one, Andreen tells Andy, Starlight Homes is my idea, my dream, and it wouldn't have happened without my drive. And mutual friends started to become afraid that someone would hurt the other sooner rather than later. At Andre's 40th birthday party, their friends and acquaintances said the McDonalds seemed to be getting along. But just 13 days later, on March 1st, 2019, that's when Andreen disappeared, so they couldn't have been too good. A couple months before her disappearance, the couple hosted a Christmas party in 2018 at their house, and there were reports of them arguing with each other, and they even started fist fighting, scrapping on the floor and all that, and then they were just laughing about it the next day, which kind of threw everybody out for real, because what do y'all got going on? The once festive home had transformed into a crime scene as investigators worked the McDonald residence until 2 a.m. the next morning. When they couldn't locate Andreen's cell phone, investigators checked to see if her credit cards or passport had been used, maybe to see if she had ran away, or just wanted to call it quits on everything, or maybe run away with her boo thing. All dead ends. She was still declared a missing person. At 2 p.m. the next day, an undercover investigator assigned to watch the McDonald's house noticed that the garage had been damaged and Andre was backing out the driveway. Where you going? Where you going and your wife is missing? You should be in the house. Looking, searching, seeing if she in the baseboards or the walls or the basement or the attic or something. Because how her stuff out there and you the other person, like, you ain't playing your cards right. To me, he just was not playing his cards right. The investigator followed him to a nearby gun shop where additional investigators who were called to the scene where Andre bought a 9mm handgun and bullets. They said that they thought he was going to harm himself, so they violently arrested him and gave him over to military authorities for a mental evaluation. Now, if you don't know, if you are in the military, when you get arrested, you go to them. There's a whole nother ball game. I really don't know too much about that, but that's why they gave him to them. Meanwhile, investigators returned to the house with a search warrant and checked Andreen's car. And there were some objects that caught their eye. They found an axe, like a hatchet. There were trash bags, heavy-duty gloves, and a couple gas cans. In a garbage can inside the house was a receipt from Lowe's. You guessed it, the hardware store, like Home Depot. It was torn up, but it was able to be pieced together, and detectives also obtained surveillance footage from the hardware store and saw the items that he purchased the day before she went missing. And in the surveillance video, I mean, like, y'all, it's him. Like, it's no doubt about it, it's him. There was a shovel in the basket. There's the gas cans. There's the hatchet, the axe. Everything literally that was on the receipt was seen with him on surveillance at the store. And all these things really point to body disposal. Significant evidence was also found throughout the house in the corner of the garage. Investigators found Andy's clothes with traces of Andreen's blood on the pocket and a pair of jeans and a hammer that they concluded was probably the murder weapon. On March 2nd, 2019, 48 hours into the investigation, police believed that they had discovered key evidence that implicated Major Andreen McDonald in his wife's disappearance. They located those items stained with Andreen's blood inside the family's trash can. This missing persons case was pointing towards a murder very, very quickly. It's only been 2 days. But to be honest, I don't know why it wasn't ruled that in the first place, because all that blood just don't be in people's house. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't just be having blood around this hoe. So this missing persons case was looking like a murder case, and all the hardware, the tools, the gadgets put together painted a pretty clear picture of a potential crime scene cleanup. But see, that was just the problem, though. None of the evidence collected proved that a murder had actually occurred. Turning a missing persons case into a homicide is very hard, especially without a body. On March 3rd, 2019, the Air Force concluded its evaluation of Andre and released him. Civil authorities quickly moved in and placed him under arrest, but it wasn't for murder. Major Andreen McDonald was arrested for tampering with evidence based upon that torn receipt from Lowe's that was found at the house. Their parents and their friends were shocked, confused, and just suspicious, because at this point, Andre decided he didn't want to talk to police no more. He didn't want to talk about her, none of that. He went into hiding, all of that. The search for her hit TV, and for several months, investigators, family members, and volunteers searched for Andreen's body. The search was hundreds of miles. As search efforts continued, Andreen McDonald was released from jail on bond. Detectives could tell by just looking at him that he wasn't going to tell them nothing. I mean, this man had been in the military. If he don't want to talk, guess what? He ain't finna talk. On July 11, 2019, 133 days after Andreen's disappearance, skeletal remains were located on a farmer's field just 6 miles away from the McDonald's home. Mr. Farmer had taken out his tractor to fetch a cow skull that he had spotted along like the tree line of his property on his private ranch in Bexar County. Leading to his surprise, the body of Andreen McDonald, who, because she had been left out and exposed to all the elements for a while, provided very little evidence to determine her cause of death. And if you know Texas summers, baby, you know it was definitely 100 degrees by mid-July. And so she was able to be identified through her dental records, and this discovery led to Andreen McDonald being charged with first-degree murder. Major Andreen McDonald had been under house arrest since April 2021. But days before his trial was set to begin on January 17, 2023, Andreen McDonald pled not guilty and broke his silence, offering an extraordinary account of what happened that night between him and his wife. And he started with his mama. I guess he figured his mama was gonna believe him. I really don't know what he thought. Andre's mother, Jackie Horn, says her mother told her that Andreen's death was an accident. McDonald then called Andreen's mother and sister, Cindy, who put the call on speakerphone, and he fed them the same story that he would days later in court. He claimed that the argument turned physical and that Andreen's death was an accident, but his explanation really raised more questions than answers. He stated that while at the tax preparer's office on February 28th, the day before Andreen's disappearance, he found out that she started a new business a year earlier without his knowledge, and he took that as her robbing him. Now, I'm going to let you hear some of his testimony just so you can see and hear the way this man was talking and how he accounts for what happened.
So, when she was attacking me, I was basically just trying to defend myself. And I guess probably like a normal situation, you probably like, if someone's like a lot smaller than you, it's not a big deal, you probably just hold them. But since she's, she's bigger than I am, and she's pretty strong, so trying to hold her, to restrain her or some shit like that, that's probably not feasible. So I just gave her a few kicks, like a couple of kicks to like knock the wind out of her. So when she got the second kick, I think I heard like some type of wheezing, coming out of her. And then also, like in the background, I could hear like some footsteps running. And at that point, I was like, oh shit, Elena. So I ran out of the bathroom towards the living room area, and then I saw like Elena, like she was somewhere close to the stairs, back at the front. So I ran towards Elena and picked her up, and we went upstairs, and then I was trying to get her back to bed because I didn't want her around, any type of situation where, there was any type of family violence or stuff like that. At the time, I just thought she got the wind knocked out of her, so she probably already caught her breath, probably called the police and made up some story. So after Elena falls back to sleep, that's when I, go back downstairs and heading back to my room. And then when I, get inside the room, I notice Andreen is still lying in the floor right next to the door. So at that point, I sort of like, go over her and she's not moving. And then I bend over to like check, see. I bent over and then I like grabbed her face and then like feel like if I could feel like a pulse or something, and then I put my ear next to like her nose to see if she was breathing, and she was not. Obviously, I'm gonna get blamed for this, and I got a 7-year-old autistic kid upstairs that was gonna take care of her. So I mean, it was a pretty scary situation. So I went outside just to like get some fresh air and just to like, gather my thoughts and like think about like, what the hell is this going on? So I came back in to the house. I never thought about calling anybody to revive a dead person. My purpose at that point was simply to get her out of the house so that my 7-year-old daughter wouldn't see her mother laying on the floor dead. I got this idea to just like get her out of the house. So I think I made like a text message or something like, where are you type deal. And then I went into the garage and I got two trash bags. I put one over the top of her and then the other one under for the lower leg or something.
He testified that when investigators finished searching his home, he went back to the field before dawn, angry and armed with the yellow hammer, a can of gasoline, and a plan.
It's absolutely her fault.
What did you do with the gasoline?
I poured it on her and then I used the lighter and set it on fire.
He then said that he waited for the fire to go out and then he attacked her with the hammer.
I hit her in the face, the neck, and I just like hit her again as I was walking away.
Why that last blow?
As I was walking away?
Yes.
I guess I was still angry when I was walking away.
So I'll link longer videos from his trial in the caption if you're interested. However, is this the way that a grieving husband describes and talks about his deceased wife? Oh my God. He don't even look sad. He don't even look sad to me. And the picture that he's painting is very, very crazy. Now, I'm sure they fought. Like, no doubt that she probably hit the mess out of him. He probably hit the mess out of her. But no doubt that she probably could have really whooped his ass if she wanted to. Like, he kept saying that she's bigger than me, all this other stuff. His whole demeanor just seems very unattached and ingenuine to the situation. I think actually his reactions from the very beginning signified that he really didn't care. Andreen's skeletal remains had severe injuries consistent with being struck by a blunt object. She had a fractured spinal cord, a broken rib, and a split jaw, although it was not determined what actually caused her death. They presented a case that focused on Andre's history of domestic violence, the circumstantial evidence gathered from the crime scene, the blood on the hammer, the burnt clothes, the purchase of the tools, and his attempts to cover up the murder. During the trial, prosecution argued that his actions went beyond self-defense. They questioned if she had emasculated him and that he envied her. The defense maintained that Andre acted out of fear and panic because his wife was just so strong, and argued that there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Andre was responsible for his wife's death. During the trial, it was clear to think most would agree that whatever happened, it was reckless. Whether he did it on accident, whether he did it on purpose, he left her there on the ground and he didn't render aid. Now, the question that for the jury was it manslaughter or was it just flat out murder? As the deliberations continued, some of the jurors had been swayed. Despite the evidence found at the McDonald home, the hammer, the blood, all that other stuff, her autopsy did not say for sure how she died. And after 6 days of testimony and 33 witnesses, the prosecution rested. The defense had only one witness, Major Andreen McDonald. After almost 11 hours of deliberating, the jury was deadlocked. They were unable to decide if Andreen McDonald was guilty of murder, manslaughter, or not guilty by self-defense. Now, none of the jurors really thought that he was not guilty. I think everybody had a very mutual understanding that he did something. But the vote went 6-6 for murder and manslaughter. The problem with the divided jury was simply the wording used in court. Lawyers picked apart the definition of murder and recklessness, which would be the difference between the charges. Murder carries a life sentence. Manslaughter carries up to 20 years. They were sent back into deliberation, and after a few hours, 3 more jurors switched to manslaughter, going 9-3. Now, this still wasn't a unanimous vote, so the judge then invoked what's called an Allen charge, and these are basically just instructions given to a deadlocked jury to encourage them to reach a unanimous verdict. So basically, y'all all gotta agree or we finna just yell here. The charge reminds the jurors of their duty to deliberate with open minds, to consider other jurors' views, and strive for a unanimous decision. It also encourages jurors in the minority to reconsider their position. In the case that the jury is still hung, the charges can lead to a mistrial, a retrial, or just drop charges, which is a big fat waste of money, essentially. The biggest factor of the swing in the vote was Andreen McDonald's testimony. There was so little evidence, and so a lot of people and jurors believed him because they didn't know anything else. They didn't hear anything else. And besides what he had told them, so they really just ate up whatever he said. And so he was able to convince jurors what happened was manslaughter. One juror even said, well, I've kicked someone before and I didn't intend to kill them. So moments later, the jury found Andre not guilty of murder, but guilty of manslaughter. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison plus 5 years for tampering with evidence. The sentence prompted a great deal of public criticism, with many feeling that justice was not adequately served for Andreen McDonald, a decision that left Andreen's family devastated. I mean, they was disgusted. This is what her mama said. Her mama was like, after he spoke with no remorse, no love, nothing at all, and he used a hammer, he stripped her clothes, he threw gasoline on her, burned her, and they just gave him manslaughter. That's crazy. She said that she's going to struggle with this thought until the day she dies. And I low-key have a love-hate relationship with the technicality of the proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Because while plenty circumstances would lead us to believe he killed her just because he wanted to versus it being an accident, there is just lack of direct evidence that supports that or that establishes premeditation or an intent to kill, which introduced the reasonable doubt regarding the murder charge, which clearly led the jury to convict him of the lesser charge, which was manslaughter. But I'm thinking about how him buying them supplies literally the day before, all the blood in their clothes, his house, the lying, this just too much. This just too much. He paid them folks. Let me not say that. But I just don't understand. I really don't understand that part, but I mean, I guess. While no one knows what really happened, We know that taking someone's life leaves one less side of the story to tell, but some people were relieved to know that at least he was held accountable to some degree for something. After the verdict, the sheriff reached out to Andreen's father, a retired member of the Jamaican army, with an unusual offering: the handcuffs straight off of Andre's wrist as they put him back into his cell. Her daddy appreciated this gift, but me personally, I want his head. For Andreen's mother, nothing about this tragedy makes sense. Her daughter and the beautiful life she had created was gone, and suddenly at that. Andreen, who came to America, became a successful entrepreneur and found her purpose in serving others. Sadly, the business she created is now closed, leaving her family, who she was taking care of financially for the most part, to fend for themselves after such an abrupt loss. Andreen McDonald's parents sought custody of their granddaughter, arguing that they were fit and capable of providing a stable environment. However, Andreen McDonald's mother, who lived in Jamaica, believed that her daughter would have wanted her granddaughter to be raised by her family. I mean, rightfully so. That makes sense to me. She argued that Andre's family giving their connection to her daughter's killer was not a suitable environment for the child. Which, like I said, I mean, I don't see no problem with what she's saying. I mean, y'all breeded a monster. Clearly, y'all over there breeding monsters. Nah, let me stop. It's not the family's fault. But, we good. And after a drawn-out legal battle, the court ultimately sided with Andreen's mother, granting her the custody of the child. The decision was heavily influenced by the court's consideration of the child's best interests and the connection that she had with her maternal grandmother. Elena, the couple's daughter, was left traumatized as this happened when she was only 8. And you know, these kids tell all their parents' business, walk around telling other people any and everything, especially if it made them really happy or really sad or confused. She would ask other children where their parents are and say things like, "Dads hurt moms," which is such a heartbreaking thing for a baby to repeat. She's about 13 now at the time of this recording, so my heart and prayers will continuously extend to her as well as her family. A mother and a father lost a daughter. Siblings, friends, colleagues, employees, and clients all lost a loved one. Even his family. Their son clearly done lost his mind. So I understand self-defense, but come on now. Like, this ain't that. Nothing anyone does will ever be that deep to take their life. Devise a grand old scheme to cover it up, which included burning bodies and hitting with hammers after death, and playing in your own baby face and her entire family and yours for years. In addition to the custody battle, Andreen McDonald's family pursued a civil lawsuit against Andreen McDonald for her wrongful death. In 2023, the courts awarded Andreen's estate a staggering $210 million in damages, holding Andreen McDonald responsible for the loss and suffering he caused. He has since appealed this conviction, but it was denied in 2024, honey. Baby, ain't nobody got time for that. I really don't know what this man thinking, because that's really recent. He just did that less than a year ago. I don't know. He really needs to be under the jail. Andreen McDonald was a woman who embodied resilience and ambition. From her beginnings in Jamaica to building a successful business in America, she was an inspiration. But her dreams were cut short, leaving behind a legacy that should not be overshadowed by tragedy. Let this story remind us all, especially Black folks, that our dreams don't have to fit into anyone else's mold. We hear it all the time. Be a doctor, be a teacher, be a lawyer. And yes, we do need more of us in those spaces. We do. But don't get it twisted. That's not all we can be. Our potential is limitless. Our talent is out of this world. And the world needs to see Black excellence in every field. Our skill sets are limitless, and we can use these to lead our lives and our culture now and in the future. The world is changing fast, and we need to be a part of that change. Look deeper into things like technology, real estate, investing, security, IT, cybersecurity, fields where the money is good and the future is bright. You hear me? The world is getting more advanced, and a lot of careers aren't going anywhere. Why shouldn't we be the ones creating the apps, protecting the data, and leading tech companies? Even in healthcare, we can take up spaces that go beyond the usual. How about health administration? These are the people who run entire hospitals and set policies. Health informatics specialists, people who manage patient data in the digital age. Occupational and physical therapists who help people recover and thrive. Radiation therapists who give radiation treatments to patients with cancer and other diseases. We set the trends. Let's own them. We are the culture, from the music to the fashion to the food. The world copies our style, so why don't we own the businesses behind them? Culinary arts. We've been bringing flavor to every table. It's time to own the kitchens, the restaurants, the food brands. Fashion design and graphic design. We set the trends. Why not own the labels and the agencies? Architecture and interior design. Our vision build neighborhoods, cities, and movements. Hold on. Talk to them. Talk to them. Don't sleep on skilled trades. They pay well, and they could lead to your own businesses too if that's what you want. Think about it. We got hairdressers, HVAC technicians who keep homes and businesses running year round, construction managers, project managers, and skilled laborers that literally build the future. Welders and electricians who are essential in every single industry and operation. I bet almost everywhere you go has some type of metal foundation or structure and lights. Now, I can't sit up here and cover every single one, okay? We influence culture every day through our music, our talents, our style, our slang, our spirit. If we can set the vibe, we can lead the industries. If we can create the trends, we can run the companies. Andreen McDonald moved from Jamaica to America and built her own business. She didn't wait for permission. She made her way, so why not us? Why not you? I'm definitely going to have to do a separate video exploring different fields, different careers, different walks of life, because Andreen's story is proof that we can create our own success no matter where we start. So don't let anybody box you in and tell you what you can't do, whether it's a trade, whether it's a career, whether it's a business, whatever it is, tech, art, business, healthcare. It don't matter. We belong everywhere. So until next time, thank you all for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe. I got what you're looking for. See you next time, Questers.